Shalom. We actually discussed this more on the previous stream than we did. Um, if you want it, okay. So my previous stream, which was a just chatting stream, was more of an actual discussion of this, but since Khalil said he wanted me to do a stream like this, and I thought it would only be fair would be for me to go ahead and put it up. And so this is the first thing he put, which is beware of the Salafi handlers with cartoon logos. And this is his Salafi handler, friendly Muslim. EA Dawa, this is your handler. I did not authorize you to speak or comment. Disengage immediately or else you will not receive any Snickers mini bars this week. Sorry, boss. I guess I have to make Jacob end the live and take the video down. We wouldn't want to miss out on the Saudi currency used to drive my whole 8K subscribers. I do have to say, I still support Khalil. And the reason I support Khalil and his channel as much as he wants me to, I have no problem going back on his stream if he would like me to, and I have no problem having Khalil on my stream if he would like to be on, is precisely because I don't believe that he could be handled in that way. And I'm going to say something contradictory and say, at the same time, I believe that friendly Muslim is in fact a handler in that way. And yeah, I am probably not articulating this as well as I could or would or should. Well, maybe as well as I could. I mean, I am doing my best. And if somebody has constructive criticism, they can try. But I'm trying to be honest with what I see. And what I will defend what I said before and try to make it more understandable, which is this is not actually controversial, what I am saying. It's not a conspiracy theory. And it's funny that I still have him as a moderator. While I don't have Khalil as a moderator. That's funny. This is not controversial that, in fact, Saudi Arabia is spending a lot of money advancing a particular narrative in the Muslim community. And I think any serious Muslim who actually cares would go ahead and recognize that. And part of what makes me suspicious about friendly Muslim is he's not actually friendly. He's very, very good at manipulating the conversation. And when he was on my stream, I don't think he was actually being helpful. And that's why I took him off the stream. I mean, you can make jokes if you want. Do you really want me to put up the jokes? If you want, I will put up the jokes. I assume my handler has a handler. I am currently investigating that. I think that his handler has a cartoon logo also. No, he wouldn't. See, this is the thing. It's like, Khalil, you're smarter than this. Uh, you just are. And when I'm talking to a real person, I can actually say that. Khalil, you're smarter than this. I would hope you have gotten to know me better than this. And frankly, you're more reasonable when you're not making these jokes with friendly's help. It's not controversial that Saudi Arabia spends large amounts of money affecting the conversation. And what is controversial is the idea that that money would be spent, could be spent, would actually have a positive influence by being spent on trying to influence a channel that only has 8,000 subscribers. And I realize the funny thing is, I think um, you are, as long as you read them, I am satisfied. It's funny, like the Jake picture. If you want me to read them, I will read them. Um, if you don't want to understand my point, you don't have to understand my point. I don't think I'm making a crazy point when I say that it's worthwhile to people to influence you, because I don't think your channel is irrelevant. You don't think your channel is irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. I I am a subscriber to your channel because I don't think your channel is irrelevant, Khalil. I think it's worthwhile to try to influence you, Khalil. And I think that it's quite possible that you actually know who Friendly Muslim is in real life, and because you're in a position to be like, hey, you're an actual human person, and you're not doing this in a way that's dishonest. And frankly, I would believe you. Um, um, now every time I'm gonna even more. But you're in a position to know that I am not. I'm waiting for the thing to come up. I appreciate it. I just think that your speculations about him are ludicrous. Yes, I know him. Yes, I have seen him on camera. Well, I trust you. Um, I There is no way he can be anything close to what you say he is. What do you think I'm saying he is? And I'm serious about that because I think you suspect something very different. a handler. Okay, I don't think he's. I don't think he's like writing you a check, and that he's like telling you what to do. I don't think you're a person who would be handled. An influencer. I'm waiting for it to come through. I see it on the screen. It hasn't come through yet. Okay. Um, Khalil, does he influence you? I think he does, in fact, influence you. And I mean, I don't even understand how you could deny that I influence you. Every human being you talk to influences you. Maybe by that you mean somebody who is trying to influence you. Do I try to influence you when I go on your channel? I do try to influence you. I think, but that's that's in fact my whole that's my whole reservation about going on your channel at all. I mean, the only way I could not be an influencer is to not speak to you at all. Because when we speak to people, we influence them. And yes, when I speak to people, them I want to influence them. The real question is where what is the motivation? Why is the motivation? Yes, yes, he does. I think this is a red herring. I think we both know what you mean by influencer. So is every human a handler now? No, no. And that's the thing. And I have to say um the previous chatting stream that I had was precisely this. I don't I don't think every human being, I think every human being, in fact, does influence every other human being. And I think that, okay, let's use the word handler. Um, what would I call a handler? Somebody, did you make those allegations about Friendly because the discussion got heated? No, not because the discussion got heated. It was because Friendly, every time he was coming into the discussion, I felt like he was making um, the situation worse. He was distorting the conversation, and he was characterizing it in a way that, when I am trying to have a relationship with you, Khalil. I consider you a friend. I would love for you to come to Los Angeles, or next time I think you live on the East Coast. I don't know where. Next time I'm there, I would love to actually meet you and buy you a halal lunch or dinner. I would say a beer, but obviously you don't drink beer. Um, and I think having actual relationships, the way I support your channel. Yesterday, when you were streaming, if I thought that I was welcome on your stream, instead of having my own just chatting stream, I would have come on your stream. I would have. Because I think you're a sincere person who is having sincere discussions, and that's what I like to see, and that's what I've been trying to have. And when that discussion was had on my channel, which I have to say, I am sorry that it seems to have cost us a friendship. On my side, it has not, but on your side, it certainly seems to. And I realize that the allegations against Friendly. I mean, you have to decide: is he? I I think he is not a good person, and yeah, that is an accusation. Are you trying to seduce me, Jacob? Yes, I am trying to seduce you, Khalil, but not in that way. Um, in fact, your wife is. I have to say, I think your wife is wiser than you are. I don't know about smarter than you are. You're pretty smart, but I do have to say, I think your wife is wiser than you are. And she's got a good heart, and you have a good heart. And yeah, is my wife a handler? No, I so okay. Let's define this word handler. What do we mean? What do I mean by the word handler? I mean somebody. I don't think handler is a good word for it. I've been using the word agent. Um, some people use the word bot or troll. Somebody who is LARPing, somebody who is role playing a character on the internet in order to affect, in order to influence the conversation in a way that's not transparent. What do you want to call that? That is the accusation. That is the suspicion that I have. That is my suspicion. Um, and I may be wrong. I completely I do not have facts. I do not have proof. The reason I keep on insisting, and I mean, if you look back to when I first came on your channel, this was actually the topic. Um, and Claire is a real human person. I mean, I've had Claire Caw on my channel with her video on. Prophet Zacharias, you promised me memes, and you did not deliver on those memes. I am mad at you, and you can only make it up to me by some wicked memes and or coming on the stream. Friendly is my ride or die brother. With all due respect, I cannot stand for you to be slandering my brother. Ride or die, brother. I don't understand that term. But I completely understand if you have a close relationship with him. I mean, that's hip for best friend forever. Really? He's your best friend forever? Um, if my suspicions are right, that's not going to work. If my suspicions are wrong, then that is going to work for you. And I have to say, I wish you only the best because I do think A, you're sincere, and I think B, you're doing good work. And I have to say that. And that's what I was going to say if you didn't show up. I'm sorry, Jacob. I shall repent with memes. Okay. I look forward to the memes. Look, if you have a personal relationship with a friendly Muslim and he's actually friendly, which I try to be with him, I have to say, uh, I I might be wrong. I may be wrong. I don't know what else to say. Um, I guess we could actually watch the video again and discuss it, unless Khalil has other things to say or Khalil wants to come up. It's up to you. Adding list. Okay, so let us make this. Okay, I think this will work. I spend at least 40 hours a week in a stream with Friendly Muslim. I know this man very well. I would ask you to stop assuming things about him. I suspect things. My suspicions come down because I do trust you. Wild allegations with no backing, to be honest. Wild allegations with no backing. Yes. I admit it. I'm not going to read that. It's okay for you to go on your channel and do whatever, and you can suspect whatever, and funny enough, you don't know me, Khalil, as well as you think you do. I'll just put it that way. Shalom. Okay, so I am not allowed on Twitter because I mean, if you suspect it, you can say you suspect it. You want to laugh right now, bro. I can see it. Laugh at what? I wrote Ellen Page is a woman, and oh yeah, I mean the hot dog comment is funnier in ways you don't know, and I'm not going to tell you. Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, took a clip from my video completely out of context, and I don't think this is the way to have conversations. I don't want to get into the middle of a bunch of drama between various Muslims. Two of my very good friends who are Muslims have decided to join the stream, and I am incredibly happy to have them. But what I will say is, if you look at the stream, and I'm willing to defend everything I said, and if we're going to be honest people, we have to recognize that things are nuanced and complicated, and I want to have an honest discussion. And so I'm willing to have the conversation however we're going to have it. And since we do have my honored guests here, I am going to actually shut up and allow them to speak.
What's up, Jacob?
Hey,
Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Yeah. I would be curious to know what the proper context of the clip was, because I honestly took it in the same exact way that Jake did. So if I'm wrong, please correct me.
Okay, so when Dr. Andani came on my channel, and I have to say, I don't agree with a lot of the ways he characterizes um, what you say and what I say, but I think it's fair game, especially on Twitter. And it's as fair game as, well, no, it's what he did was more fair game than what Jake.
I have to say, I think, yeah. So this is just generally true. I think a lot of things are more fair game than Khalil thinks they are, and that's been a repetitive thing that I've always said. When I initially went on to talk about Dr. Andani, um, yeah, I don't think there's anything, especially now that he explained the tweet and you explained the tweet. Um, I, I don't really think there's anything that horribly wrong with Dr. Andani's tweet. So, like, what I think is fair game is much broader than what you think is fair game, Khalil. I have to say that.
Jake did with my clip. Because what happened was Dr. Andani, and we can watch the clip, I brought it up. Dr. Andani came on my channel and started talking about how he's being kind of shut out. And frankly, I have to say, I disagree with you shutting him out. I don't think you can. He is a real person, and he is a real.
A better word might be character. I think there are people who are who are characters. Um, Adam, the voice of reason.
Point of view. And what I was pointing out is, and this happens with even my channel, my tiny channel, but I see
Alaikum salam.
that when I say things like BDS is anti-Semitic, suddenly I get a bump in the algorithm. There are people manipulating our conversations, and that includes, and everybody knows this, as far as Saudi Arabia spending lots and lots of money to make the dawah scene more Wahhabi and Salafist. Like, and I have things I can pull up from the Carnegie Foundation and the BBC, and these are realities. And I never said, and even in that clip, it's very clear. I said I don't even think he would be aware of any money that's propping him up. But it's a fact that the conversation here on YouTube and on Twitter is being manipulated by moneyed interests, including Saudi Arabia. That's not anything controversial that I think any reasonable person can disagree with.
I'd like to see that information, because I mean, right now Saudi Arabia is trying to figure out how they're going to have Nicki Minaj to come into a concert in their country, in Mecca. Like, I don't think they're too much focused on the dawah.
Just to be clear, the title is the title is clickbaity and part of a larger discussion. We're actually reviewing a discussion I had earlier about similar topics. I am trying to continue a conversation that we were having, and you're not being at all helpful. Stand on scripture. It would be very nice to have you on, Adam, but I understand. Okay.
This is from BBC, and yes, Wikipedia is not a source. I completely understand that, but Wikipedia is a good place to find sources. And frankly, I don't think anybody who's aware of the situation doubts. Okay, this one line stuck out to me, and you can go into which studies, whatever. But one estimate is that during the reign of King Fahd, 1982 to 2005, over $75 billion were spent in efforts to spread Wahhabi Islam. The money was used to establish 200 Islamic colleges, 210 Islamic centers, 1,500 mosques, and 2,000 schools for Muslim children in Muslim and non-Muslim majority countries. This is not controversial.
Jacob, sorry, can we just pause there, since you've presented? Can you keep that highlighted, please? What you've just highlighted and read out, please, because I think if we are going to have a
Okay, I'm gonna say this. Stand on scripture. You are not. You are obviously not engaging the topic, and if you continue not engaging the topic, I'm just going to time you out. I I have no no tolerance for characters, especially Christian characters coming on. And yes, this is a suspicion that you are a character meant here to derail the conversation.
Honest and fair discussion. Then let's keep it real. When you say
Okay.
Dawa and Dais, and you're talking to people like EA
So
Dawa,
I have to say this. He's completely mischaracterizing the conversation, and this is part of the problem. Khalil, honestly, I will have him on if that's what you want to do. But I will only, well, let me put it this way. Stand on scripture. I would ask you to turn on your I would ask you to Torah observant Unitarian Christian. Okay, whatever. Well, if he's gonna leave, he's gonna leave. I am. These are the types of people I don't want to have conversations with. But Khalil, you're if you want to invite somebody other than Friendly Muslim on, then yes, we'll do that. But otherwise, I'm just going to continue listening. But I would say listen to what Friendly Muslim is doing, and what he's not doing is trying to make him. Well, yeah, I mean, what he was bringing up is BS, but it's not a real conversation. It's not like these are not the types of conversations that I want to be having. I want people to actually be talking with each other as actual human beings. And I have to say, that is not what Friendly Muslim is displaying, which is what pissed me off and made me take him off.
Dawa, and myself as individuals,
Mhm.
we are not in that group that you are reading out about. But yet your conversation entails Salafi handlers and money coming directly
Hold on.
to.
And he refuses to acknowledge what I am saying. He's playing a character. This is what I dislike. This is really what I dislike. Where was it? Sorry. We need to focus on conciliation between Jacob and the EA Dawa team. I'll tell you, on my behalf, there's nothing to be reconciled. If Friendly Muslim is a actual human being, he's a human being I don't want to be friends with, because and his behavior on this channel is why, and I would make that effort maybe if he was an actual human being, like who told me his name and I could actually have a real connection with. Again, it goes back to my whole thing of, if we're going to be having reasonable discussions, if we're going to secure our distributed cognition, we need to exclude the characters. And he's a character. He's not an actual, he's a persona. Persona might be a better word for it. I don't want to include personae. Your curiosity with his real name is more suspect than anything. No, it's the only way I know of excluding these personae. That is the only way I have been able to figure out of excluding people that I I think are influencing the conversation in ways that are destructive. I trust you, yeah, because I know you're an actual human being. Like, honestly, Jacob, you're a great guy and you're entitled to any opinion you want. That shouldn't be a roadblock between you and Khalil, and you know deep down, Friendly isn't what you say he is. I don't know that he's not what I say he is. In fact, I deep down have a very strong suspicion that he is somebody who is trying to influence the conversation in a way that's not honest and not somebody who wants to be my friend. That the behavior. Premise 1, I trust you. Okay. Premise 2, I say Friendly is not a handler. Explain the word handler. Conclusion, therefore he is not a handler. Explain the word handler and explain why my trust of you as a human being should extend to whether or not somebody is a handler. I hope that was clear. And I'm thinking the best word to use is persona. That is my current thing of person of the word.
I actually pushed back against the idea that there were handlers. If you listen to the video when
an agent or individual that is part of an entity attempting to push channels in any way. So, entity, I would say, is what we here in the internet, in this corner of the internet, what we call it, people have been using the term agregor. I would say that he is definitely part of an agregor. And even that term, it's not a very good term for it. I would definitely say he's part of the agregor. And I don't trust you to be a good judge of whether a person is. In fact, I think you're not a good judge of that. Do you know that he is pushing for ex-Muslims to speak to Dawa people? Yes, I did know. I did know that. Yes. I really think this is going back down to this nebulous concept of an agregor that I have, which is not which was, I mean, Jake said it's complete. It was completely new to him on the stream, and it is. Do you know that he's pushing for interfaith dialogue with Jews and Muslims? Oh yeah, I was part of it. Remember, I actually went on his show. Remember, which he took off, by the way. That was actually a really good interview that I was that I actually would want on my channel, but like, yeah. but these are in no way, I mean, these are not addressing my point, because ultimately I have to say, Khalil, I think you are not seriously engaging with this idea of an aggregor. Do you think Saudi handlers would be doing that? If so, for what reason? Yes, I do. Handlers, again, I have to say, I don't like this word handler. I don't like it when it's not my word. You are insisting on this word. And I think you are seeing things in a far more direct manner than I ever meant. You are the one that used it when you booted him. Okay. Like, has been pretty clear all during this whole discussion. And by the way, this is getting annoying, Khalil. Has been clear during this whole discussion. I am trying to communicate something not well. I'm not a very good communicator. And you know that. That doesn't mean that. Okay, I mean, I may have, and this is exactly the same thing I was saying back when you were grilling Dr. Andani. Like, you're holding people. Part of the reason I want to have these conversations with actual people, as opposed to this type of, you know, oh, you said this at that time, gotcha, boom, type thing. This isn't the type of conversation I'm interested in having. I'm interested in having an actual conversation with an actual human being. I'm not holding people accountable for comes out of their mouth. Honestly, Khalil, if this is no way to have a conversation. It's not. I am telling you quite clearly what I'm trying to say, and you're not trying to understand. Okay, back to unless, yeah. I mean, this isn't the type of conversation I want to have with you, Khalil. You know, I have said quite many times, okay, don't use the word handler, and I am sorry for the use of the word handler. Let me see who just showed up. It is Khalil.
I figured I'd come on here to have a real conversation with you.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what the issue is, because when we came on, we spoke about this idea of what Andani was saying. He has this idea that there are direct handlers saying this is what you should say, this is the content that you put out, you are gaining money from this. Like, that's what he was saying. You're saying that there's this other metaphysical other thing going off way in the background, but at the same time you're saying friendly Muslim is part of that big background thing. And
okay, yeah, so this is the thing, right? Paul Vanderklay, and you have to understand that this corner of the internet, like, it is bigger than me. I don't know if you've been watching my other streams, but it is bigger than me. We are a group of people trying to understand what's going on. And one of the things, so Paul Vanderklay, who's got a much bigger channel than I do and is an important person in this corner of the internet, he talks about a spirit, right? So you have
for example, school spirit, right? It's not an actual person, but when you go to a school, when you root for a team, there is such a thing as a spirit which possesses you emotionally. And that's a real thing. That's not something that has no material effect in the world. Correct?
Has no material effect. As in what?
It has material effect. So school spirit, right? I don't know what
Yeah,
the logo
yeah.
is on the shirt you're wearing.
Oh,
right?
It's the New England Patriots.
Okay, so the New England Patriots, right? They are a spirit that doesn't actually have an actual, it's not a real entity, right? It's so if we were nominalists, we would say it's just a name and it's not real at all.
Yep.
Right? As post-nominalist Neoplatonists, what we say is no, the Patriots actually exist, have an actual existence that exerts real influence in the world. As a Patriots fan, you might actually end up beating up people who are fans of a different, like that actually happens. Patriots
screw
fans,
the Raiders.
Okay, Raiders, right? So Patriots fans and Raiders fans get involved in fistfights. They don't?
Very much often.
Okay.
Well, actually, anybody that's not a Raiders fan fights Raiders. Raiders are the Raiders fans just want to fight everybody all the time.
Okay. There you go. Right. So they are possessed by a spirit, right, of the Raiders, which causes them to act in a certain way. There is a Salafi spirit. There is an Ismaili spirit. There is a Jewish spirit. There's a Zionist spirit. There are all kinds of spirits which have real world effects on people. Okay? Saudi Arabia is an actual country with lots of money, right? And and that money is being spent by smart people, very smart people, in order to affect the spirits in this, have spiritual warfare in the world.
That's okay. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. I know you are. I want confirmation,
right,
that you don't think Friendly Muslim is duping me.
Duping you? I don't think he's.
Am I being influenced to do something that I normally would not have done on my show, or am I being influenced to continue doing the things that I normally would do on my show? Like,
I think you are being influenced.
I mean, I speak to this man about our like personal lives. It's not strictly professional. Like, I hang out with this guy for fun. Like, don't you think that if he was this some type of handler of some sorts, even in a spiritual sense, whatever you want to call it, if he was doing what he's supposed to be doing, would we hang out 40, 50 hours in a chill room on StreamYard, not even live, just making funny memes and listening to certain videos and just chilling with each other? Like, no, he'd be a busy man. If you're saying that these people in Saudi Arabia are smart men spending their money properly, and if the money's being spent on Friendly Muslim being a handler for me and my channel, well, then these people aren't too damn smart.
See, this is the thing, Khalil. This is the disagreement we have. You think your channel is not very influential and not worth spending that amount of money.
Oh no, I believe my channel is extremely underrated. I believe that it's harder for an academic channel, for a more academic channel, to get the attention that it should, because everybody just wants to see the dumpster fires. Like, they don't care about the actual intellectual content, right? So, but that still doesn't change the fact, like, what I see happening in all of these conversations, from when me and Friendly Muslim were on to where Khalil and Danny came on and Jake came on, it was, we are trying to get confirmation in a specific category, right? And that specific category is in line with the claims that Andani is making. And you're up here being like, guys, it's this thing over here going on. And you try and pull us up to that. And we're like, that's cool and all. We don't believe that. But Andani is saying this.
Okay.
And then we keep trying to bring you back down to his claims and what he's saying. That's what we're interested in ixnaying.
Okay. And I thought, and I will continue to be very, very clear. I do not think somebody like this is to me an absolute joke. That's a joke. That's funny. Okay? That's funny, because the idea that somebody could actually write Jake what you would get if you went up to Jake and said, I'll give you $10,000. I want you to say things about the Quran you don't believe, is probably a finger, if not a punch in the face. Right?
Yep. For me too.
So I believe you. And so if I wanted to influence someone like you, that's not what I would do.
So you'd hang out with me and in a room, and you'd be buddy with me, and like so how do we tell? So honestly, how do we tell the difference between real friends and these so-called handlers?
Well, the only way I have been able to actually make that distinction is by actually talking to real people and getting to know them in life. And I see
you really don't know me, brother. You don't know me. Like
I don't.
We have respectful conversations. You've been on the channel a few times, but like the things that are going on in my personal life, you have no clue about.
And the
Friendly Muslim knows
I have
every
going on in
single
my
aspect
personal life, you have no idea.
Exactly. So how do you know that I'm not your handler?
I don't have scientific knowledge of that. And you know what I mean by scientific, right? I don't have knowledge of it 100%. All I have is better knowledge than some random person who, when I try to be friends with, but isn't actually being friendly. And then I think the behavior on that stream was not the type of behavior I like with my friends. I think of you as a friend because we can have a discussion. You listen to me, I listen to you. You seem like a genuine person. That's not how friendly seems to me.
I don't see how you, because he's more calm than I am. He has more patience than I do.
That's
I think anybody
that's actually a warning sign for me. I have to say, like if I actually saw the passion, like I actually would trust him a little bit more.
So you can ask anybody, like go to my stream and say, who has more patience, Khalil or Friendly Muslim? Just ask anybody in the chat.
It's you.
No, it's not. Exactly. Yeah.
No, I'm sure it's him. That's okay, Khalil. I am still a member of your channel, and I still am a supporter of yours because I believe you are an honest person, and I know you are an actual human being I can have a relationship with. And you're somebody I like. You're smart, and you understand when I'm talking about stuff, and I understand you. You're a person I can be friends with. And that's my channel. That's what we're doing in this corner. And we're doing that because the conversation at large has gone absolutely, like, I can't talk to somebody who, when I say to them, what is a woman? They're like, I don't know.
Like, if you don't know what a woman is, I have no conversation to have with you, right? I want to have genuine conversations with smart people, and that's what's going on in my corner of the internet. And the reason I liked your and let's okay, I don't want to talk down Issa. Issa was very respectful to me. Issa is not going to be one of my friends, right?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't a member of his channel. I wasn't going on his streams. I'm not going to be a friend with Issa. You seem like somebody I would want to be friends with. I'm not going to be friends with Friendly. And this channel has kind of become, you know what? I might end up changing the name to Fatarecci and Friends. And like my Discord server is Jacob's Ladder. It's about people who are my friends, because I want to be friends with intelligent people like you and people who understand that there are these spirits out there that are possessing people, and it's very dangerous. It really is dangerous. I was not kidding when I was talking with Dr. Andani. Look, there are Ismailis being murdered. That's not a joke, Khalil, and you know it's not a joke.
Yeah, and it's horrible because people get murdered all the time by other shitty people. Got it.
Right.
And this,
including Sunni Muslims.
I understand, but this is you roping me back into the whole metaphysical conversation. To which I mean, like, I'm not trying to disrespect you. I have zero interest in that. Zero, nilch, nada. I want to know what Friendly did wrong that night for him to be deserving of being muted and booted, because I watched it back and he unmuted and he said, "Jacob, I'm disappointed in this conversation." Can he not be disappointed?
No, that's disappointed. I felt, and I still feel, that when we were having a conversation that was getting somewhere, instead of helping us be more friendly and understand each other, he was sabotaging the conversation. That's why I muted him. I felt he was sabotaging the conversation.
Can you give me an example on what he did?
If you want. What?
Can you give me an example on how he was attempting to sabotage it? Because from my point of view, and from Jake's point of view, because I talked to Jake afterwards, and from other people's point of view that I talked to, now I will say everybody that I'm mentioning here is a Muslim, right? So there may be some bias attached to it. I have to be honest, but still, everybody that I talked to saw and Danny make claims. I came up, or not came up, but and Danny made some claims on the previous stream. I came up to address those, and Danny came up. Friendly Muslim was with me, and then you're up here bringing us to this other conversation about something that has, I mean, you would say it has something to do with it, but we have no clue about what it is. We don't know what all that's about. We're right here trying to solve this problem going on right here with Andani in the strict, direct claims that he's making, that we later in the conversation found out that you weren't even talking about yourself. This is something that Andani was saying. And,
right.
and that's what Friendly was trying to do, was trying to be like, I got you, Jacob. I got you. Let's reel it back into this problem right here.
That's not what I saw. And I'll tell you, for example, so just as we were watching right now, I mean, again, this stream was if you hadn't come on, it would have been just me reviewing the tape, and we can like just reviewing it right now, right? So look at what was going on. He has a real point of view, and what I was pointing out is, and this happens with even my channel, my tiny channel, but I see that when I say things like BDS is anti-Semitic, suddenly I get a bump in the algorithm. There are people manipulating our conversations, and that includes, and everybody knows this, as far as Saudi Arabia spending lots and lots of money to make the dawah scene more Wahhabi and Salafist. Like, I have things I can pull up from the Carnegie Foundation and the BBC, and these are realities. And I never said, and even in that clip, it's very clear. I said,
I don't even think he would be aware of any money that's propping him up. But it's a fact that the conversation here on YouTube and on Twitter is being manipulated by moneyed interests, including Saudi Arabia. That's not anything controversial that I think any reasonable person can disagree with.
I'd like to see that information because
Okay, so just to make clear here, right? Khalil, please stop. Thank you. What I was trying to do was explain that Saudi Arabia is in fact doing these things, right? And bring it to what was my understanding, and then see how Friendly is derailing the conversation from what I am trying to say to something different. And I've said several times that no, I don't believe anybody is writing a check to you or Jake. I have said that several times.
I mean, right now, Saudi Arabia is trying to figure out how they're going to have Nicki Minaj to come into a concert in their country, in Mecca. Like, I don't think they're too much focused on the dawah.
This is from BBC, and yes, Wikipedia is not a source. I completely understand that, but Wikipedia is a good place to find sources. And frankly, I don't think anybody who's aware of the situation doubts. Okay, this one line stuck out to me, and you can go into which studies, whatever. But one estimate is that during the reign of King Fahd, 1982 to 2005, over $75 billion were spent in efforts to spread Wahhabi Islam. The money was used to establish 200 Islamic colleges, 210
Okay, can you pause right here, please?
1,500 mosques, and 2,000.
Yes.
Yeah. So right here, we are looking at a Wikipedia page that you were talking about. And on this Wikipedia page, there was mentioned of mosques and organizations and entities, things of that nature. And Friendly and Muslim and myself were under the impression that your discussion with Andani, that you guys were in agreement with what he said. Now, what did Friendly Muslim say to this? He said that we are individuals. We are not entities. We are not mosques. We are not organizations. We are individuals. So is that not right on point with us, with how we perceive the conversation to go? Is we're wanting to stay on point on Andani and his claims?
Was I less than clear that I 100% agree with you? That's not what's going on.
Yes,
Can I be more clear?
You were clear, but it becomes unclear when you boot Friendly Muslim and then say, "Yep, he's a handler." It seems like all the progress that we made was just lost.
The progress was lost because even though I make that clear, when he comes into it, he reintroduces things that I am saying quite clearly. That's not what I'm saying. He is mischaracterizing what I'm saying.
Okay, so maybe it could have been perceived that he was firing this at you. We were only speaking to you at that time about the claims that Andani made on your channel. So that's who we're firing at.
And there's a reason why I was keeping him out while we discussed, so that you could understand me, what I am saying, because I am trying to, in fact, I am taking a position that's not your position, which is, this is completely crazy. I don't think this is completely crazy. There is money, there is indirect influence of Saudi Arabia on your channel, I believe. And I understand you think that's ludicrous. It's not as ludicrous as what Dr. Andani is seeing. And Dr. Andani is seeing something which I want you to see, that there is a middle position here. There is actually a middle position that, yes, Saudi Arabia is in fact spending money, which is influencing why Dr. Andani is being shut out in ways that I don't think he should. He's getting beaten up by the Patriots fans because there is a Patriot spirit that exists, and he has been expressing it in ways that sound even more wild than what I am saying.
Exactly, and that's what we're addressing is his claims specifically. We're not.
And
We're
his
not.
claims are wild and overstated, but what he is seeing is not completely an illusion. There are actually spirits there that are moving things.
I don't think he mentioned spirits at all.
Oh no, he doesn't. And this is the discussion that I've been having with him and trying to make him understand that what's going on. While I mean, he has particular things that he's seen, which those things. I actually do believe that there might be people who are, for example, he said somebody is being blackmailed. I could believe people are being blackmailed because I have seen things that are actually that bad as an Iranian. Like when Rafi Khachaturian, you don't know who he is, but I do. When Rafi Khachaturian was beaten up, he was beaten up by people who were being paid by the Islamic Republic of Iran. And Adam, welcome. I know this is
Assalamu
not
alaikum warahmatullah.
to be on.
Assalamu alaikum wabarakatuh. Just can I say something real quick?
You've been a voice of reason, please.
Like, I feel we're stuck in this situation where you're saying that there is some kind of influence and not direct, and we're not moving on from that point. Like, I understand that there has been some kind of influence that has been started by the Saudis. No one disagrees with that. It's just we have an issue.
Adam, hold on. No one disagrees that there is an influence that was started by the Saudis. Is that
Sure.
true, Khalil?
Sure.
Khalil. Adam, I'm asking Khalil.
I'm not saying that there isn't any type of influence at all. What I'm directly saying, I'm speaking in representation of myself and my team and my channel. That's what that's the point of focus that I have is on my team and my channel, and whether Friendly Muslim is a handler of some sort. That's the point that I'm trying to drive. I'm trying to drive the point that Friendly Muslim is a Muslim. He's a regular guy, just like me. He doesn't show his face because he has a personal life and he has a company. Some people with their companies, it's hard for them to come out into the open when speaking on these religious topics. So that's what he's doing.
That's what he told me, and that's what I took at face value. I have to say, the reason I started suspecting him, and it's just suspicion, is because when we were trying to come to this understanding, look, I think there is a Salafi spirit that is, in fact, you as a new Muslim, and I'm sorry I have to bring this up, I think you automatically, when you took Islam on, you assumed that a lot of things are in ways that this spirit, the Salafi spirit that I'm talking about, has influenced you. And I don't mean that in any way that is in any way at all derogatory or meant to be. I think that there is a hostility between you and Dr. Andani that is being, it's like you're wearing the Salafi shirt and he's wearing the Ismaili shirt, and you guys like.
But I don't consider myself a Salafi.
What?
I don't label myself as a Salafi.
I understand that, and I'm kind of I don't have a position as far as Ismail. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the Ismaili stuff either.
Neither is most of the Muslims in existence.
I know that, and this is part of what I am seeing. Is I do believe that the Salafi spirit is moving you to consider Dr. Andani a kafir, not a Muslim.
No, it's because we have been given the tenets of faith and what it means to be a Muslim and what some of the things are in Islam that brings you out of the fold. Now, I was just speaking to a guy last night. His name is Rob. He's from Sentinel Apologetics, right? And he was bringing up these arguments that Judaism, at one point in time prior to the coming of Christ and Paul and the early church fathers, before any of that, that there was this Jewish idea of this Neoplatonistic view to where there was Yahweh 1 and Yahweh 2, and they were somehow combined but yet distinct, and trying to make some Trinitarian doctrine out of it, right? So like I see him doing this, but at the same time, I know that Jews are true monotheists. They don't believe in these two separate things.
I have to say this is, if you look into it, like we have two different names for God, and in fact, Paul Vanderklay talks about God 1 and God 2. We have two different names for God. One of them is the Tetragrammaton. Not going to say it. The other one is Elohim, which is power, right? And the same word as Allah. And there is an interplay in the Jewish scriptures between these two names as two aspects of obviously one God.
Yeah, one's the God, one's like the veil.
In a sense, yes. And so there is, and this is a concept. So this is a fight I keep on having with Trinitarians. Yes, ultimately, I believe Judaism is Neoplatonist, and I believe Neoplatonism is actually the oldest form of Judaism. And this is like a theological fight we could definitely get into. Like we can go down that line. It's going to be a completely different line than we're having. But the thing is, like, I want you to ask yourself, right? When I accepted Islam, what made me think, okay, so there are 5 pillars of Islam as opposed to 7 pillars. And I have no position. I don't care if there are 5 pillars or 7 pillars of Islam. But the Ismailis, I believe there's 7 pillars, and the Sunnis in general believe there's 5 pillars, right? And like there are many strands of Islam, and I take zero position on any of them. At the same time, it was presupposed to you that basically Salafis are mainstream orthodoxy. That is an impression that people, especially in the West, have, which is caused by and that's why there is this Wikipedia article. Like that is the Wikipedia article we were looking at.
Jacob,
yeah.
Could you just pull up Brother Principal's comment there? I just want to have a comment on that.
Brother Principal.
All right. So the hostility for Dr. Khalil Adnani, it's not because of who he is. It's rather what he does, right? So I have as much respect as him as any other atheist or Zoroastrian, right? So I won't parade for anyone to be killed. I won't do any of that. But I will say they're just as much as a kafir as any of those groups. But it doesn't mean they have less of a right than the others. It's an identifier, right?
Adam,
it's either you're Muslim or you're not.
You have to understand though. Okay, Adam, you have to understand though that in the West, an atheist or a kafir or a Hindu, let's not talk about Zoroastrian because that's actually or Baha'i, right? Zoroastrian, it gets weird. You have to understand that in the West, yeah, of course, me being a Jew is not that different from somebody being a Baha'i, from somebody being an Ismaili Muslim or a Baha'i or a Nation of Islam or any other kafir, right? Somebody you don't consider part of the ummah. But in much of the world, our American perception of those things translates to something very different on the ground. So in Pakistan, when Americans have this idea that the Salafi, like that
yeah, Ismailis aren't really Muslims, right? And that shows through in American policy and American uh, imagine how the world is. In the real world, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in India, where Ismailis live, that has a huge impact. And that impact is worth $75 billion to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Okay. I just like to say something. Maybe I'm just playing the devil's advocate. So I've read Salafi books, right? I've read Ibn Taymiyyah's books and Abdullah ibn Wahhab, right? I've read his books. Nowhere does it say to kill any other sect of Islam. Nowhere. The only part it's talking about is apostates, and that's if you were Muslim in the first place. Ismailis were never Muslim. They're not born Muslim. They were born Ismaili. We consider them always kafir.
And that's to answer Principal Method's question, is that I don't have a special hostility towards Ismailis than other sects. I can respect Jews and Christians and everybody else. They're not claiming to represent the Muslim position. They're not claiming to be Muslims. Ismailis are claiming to be Muslims, and they are telling people this is what Islam is. The Shia are claiming to be Muslims. They're saying this is what Islam is. The Quranists are claiming to be Muslim and say this is what Islam is. Nation of Islam is claiming to be Muslim and say this is what Islam is. I have the same disliking and anger towards all these other sects, people claiming to be Muslim, people claiming to say this is the true and real Islam. That's why there's special attention to Andani, because he engages with me as an Ismaili. That you can follow me on Clubhouse and find that there's a guy named Rocco that I go back and forth with. He's a Quranist. I do the same exact thing with him and say, stop representing my belief. People are coming to me with these wacky questions that are complete straw mans of my position because they learn it from you. They learn this is what we think. This is what I heard from other Muslims. But you're not a Muslim. Stop representing Islam. Create your own religion.
Khalil, I have a question. Do you have that same idea about Salafi Muslims?
When it comes, I don't hold a position on whether we take things literally or metaphorically. I don't know enough about that. I have studied Ismaili beliefs, though. I've studied exactly what Dr. Khalil believes in. So now I can attack Dr. Khalil in ways that I cannot attack Ismaili or Salafis, because I haven't studied the Salafi position enough to really understand exactly what it's all about. Now, when I do study it, and I say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is you as a Salafi, this is what puts you outside of the fold of Islam, then that is a different story, and that time will come if, in fact, they do hold something that I find to be outside of the faith.
Okay. I have to ask for some time because I need to clarify, because this is my channel, right?
No problem.
First of all, I have to clarify regarding what Adam said. And yes, it is because Dr. Andani asked me to qualify. And because it's really important. There's nothing that's the New England Patriots and the Raiders, wherever they're located, they don't ever tell in fact, they often tell their fans not to beat each other up. That doesn't mean their fans don't end up beating each other up. And so the fact is, Shia, especially Ismaili Shia, but Shia are being murdered in large numbers, and as are Sunnis. There are lots of Muslims killing each other, and I realize a lot of people will find it weird that a Jew seems to care about whether Muslims are killing each other, but I actually do. And I would hope everybody else does as well. Okay? Now, Khalil, as far as your position, I have to say, okay, you have been exposed to things which you look at from Ismailis, and you're like, okay, this isn't Islam. And I understand that. But that's part of what we call here your distributed cognition, right? Because you're like, okay, there's a lot of there's a lot of Salafis who are people I respect, and they're, I go to a mosque where maybe even the imam is a Salafi, and I don't have anybody at my mosque who's an Ismaili, right? And that is, in fact, I would say, influencing the fact that you're willing to say, hey, I looked at Ismaili texts and they're not Muslim, whereas I haven't bothered to actually look and see if Salafis are Muslim or not. And
Jacob, that's not true. On the discussion to where I invited Andani on my channel, and he finally came up and we spoke, I specifically said I'm currently now studying the Salafi position, the Ashari Creed, the Athari Creed. I am studying that. I'm not blindly just saying, you know what, I'm not going to look into this. Now, I am looking into it, but I haven't looked into it as much as I've looked into what Khalil believes, based off of the upcoming debate that he was having with Jake. I wanted to understand both positions
100%.
as best I could, so when the debate happened, I was informed at least a little bit.
Let me be 100% clear. I am not in any way accusing you of being blind, ignorant, deliberately not knowledgeable, or even naive. All I am saying, and it's a very, very, it's actually, it's so not controversial that when I say it, people will interpret it as saying something that I'm actually just pointing out something that's, I hope, not controversial and true of me. So let me talk about myself, right? When I grew up as a Jew, right? We went to synagogue, and what?
Sorry, you just Khalil said something in the chat. It's absolutely hilarious. He said, like, there's no credibility behind such a claim when he's claiming that me and Jake have Salafi handlers in a much different way than you are, and he has no damn evidence for it. Like, the dude is a hypocrite. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't think he's a hypocrite, but I do think I think he's dealing with a situation as a human being that I'm hoping to create better understanding between you guys. And let me talk about my personal understanding as a Jew, right? I grew up going to synagogue, and my father pointed to the Torah scroll in the synagogue, and he said, he taught me, Zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Israel, Torah tziva lanu Moshe keilat Yaakov. This is a very simple thing that Jews teach their children, and my father taught me, which is to point to the Torah scroll and say, this is the Torah that Moses taught us. Moses taught us Torah as a inheritance for the congregation of Jacob, right? And that Torah scroll, guess what? Has the Masoretic text in it. And the Masoretic text, I knew nothing about the Masoretes. Now that I know about, I know that there's conflicts about what actually should be in that Torah scroll. There's lots of conflict about what should be in that Torah scroll. And as, what is actually the text there, that's actually up to controversy. But that's not a controversy that vast majority of Jews have ever heard of. I now believe in the Masoretic text because I know enough to know about the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Septuagint and everything else to understand the Masoretic text. There are presumptions which I had as a Jew, and everybody always has, because we trust the people around us. And there's a similar thing that goes on. Now imagine, let's talk about the Christian Bible, right? When you go to a hotel room,
the Gideons have put a particular Bible in your hotel room, right? And they spent a lot of money doing that. And guess what? That's not the Catholic Bible. It's a different text. It's
That's true.
slightly different, but it's a different text. You're muted, Khalil. Okay. Oh, you're on the phone? Okay. Well, I hope you're also listening to what I'm saying. But what's in the now I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
mean, yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, you know, but it's
yeah.
true. You're true. That's right. They put a different version of that Bible. I've seen that many times. You know,
Right.
and
And so that's something that's very indirect, and it's not nefarious or anything, but it's something that's real. And there is a presupposition among Muslims today, because of the money spent by Saudi Arabia, that Salafi Islam is fundamental Islam in a very similar way as Christians think that the Gideon Bible in their hotel room is the Gideon Bible. And that's what Dr. Andani, as an Ismaili Muslim, is fighting against. And I don't like the way that he is explaining it. And yes, I realize he has evidence of certain things, but what the art I am trying to explain something that I think is far more defensible than Dr. Andani's way of putting it, which is actually defensible to some degree. I hope that's clear.
yeah, okay, I understand your point. And you know what? He can be a Muslim if he wants, but it's not going to change our criteria in the end of the day. And that's just the way it is.
Look, I think I don't know. It's possible. Look, so here in the West, we do have this idea of logos and dialogos, and just because he is an Ismaili Muslim, and that's why it's important. You know, I never just refer to Dr. Andani as a Muslim. Really, I will refer to him as an Ismaili Muslim, because I don't have a dog in this fight, and I don't want to make. And so the Nation of Islam, I call Nation of Islam. I don't call them Muslims. And you know, I try to be clear and distinguish between these things. But that's here in the West. And again, this spirit is having a very large effect in the rest of the world, and it's an effect that is important enough that I feel like I have to get involved here to the best that I can to clear up that, look, when you say Ismailis are not Muslims, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, in Iran, that means this person can be killed with impunity. That it is no longer against the law to kill this person. That's a fact.
Right, okay, but Jacob, just one thing before I pivot away. We can't control these countries. Like, you're saying that they're getting killed here and there. It's not in our control. And you know, this, we're going to keep on talking about this over and over again, and we're not going to get anywhere. I'm telling you. Like, we need to maybe try and just figure this out rather than keep on going back to Dr. Khalil. And you know, I think it's just repetitive at this point. It really is.
Well, okay, maybe we do, but let me just say, I think that you underestimate how important and influential the view of people like us in the West, especially people like Khalil, who I realize you don't think you're important enough to try to influence. I think you are, and I might be wrong. Okay,
Well,
maybe
okay,
I'm.
Jacob. Right, I can influence. I can say that we shouldn't kill Ismailis. Isn't that enough?
Look, the fight ultimately, and I don't want to get involved in that fight. The fight ultimately is that in English speaking understandings of Islam,
Ismailis, if you're saying Ismaili Muslims are not Muslim, that's something that's going to, in fact, invoke passions in Dr. Andani, which I understand, because when you say that in the United States, that's having an effect in Afghanistan and Pakistan and Iran. It is.
Jacob, I say that's wrong, okay? And I don't want to change my religion just because some people are getting killed by another country that I don't agree with.
I'm asking you to change your religion. I certainly
kind of are.
you to do that. All I am saying is, let's. I mean, frankly, I would be much happier if you go ahead and refer to him as Ismaili. Call him Ismaili. Like, I think that's clear. If you don't want to say, and the funny thing is, because of this conversation, I'm actually having a friend of mine who she's a rabbi. She's a Reform rabbi. And frankly, while she's a good friend of mine, and I don't call her a rabbit to her face, I refer to Reform rabbis as rabbits. I don't call them rabbis, right? Because I understand what you're saying. But here in the West, we have certain, degrees of conversation and tolerance, which, look, and I've invited her on my channel, and she's going to be on, and I have to, I'm not going to call her a Reform rabbi. I'm certainly not going to call her a rabbit to her face. But like, I don't believe in female rabbi. So, and there's a reason I'm bringing this into my world and trying to take it out of your world, because I don't want to change your beliefs necessarily. There is something going on, which there is a reason I have decided to do the things that I do and get involved in the conversations that I'm getting involved in. And that reason is, I see there are people who are trying to manipulate these spirits, these egregores, and they are successfully doing that. And that is making for a world I don't want to live in.
Okay. Jacob, I think a better way to really get to the point is, what is the issue with Dr. Andani? It's that people are getting killed in Pakistan and whatever, right? He doesn't mind other people's opinions. He just doesn't want his people to be killed, right? So what I'm saying is,
for him, but
right, yeah, but I'm just just speculating, right? So if that's what's wrong, I say that killing Ismailis is wrong, and I think that would solve the issue. Like, if I say that should be it.
I agree. Honestly, like, this conversation, frankly, I thought the conversation we had before went pretty well until afterwards. Went well, other than it completely ruined my relationship with Friendly Muslim, because I didn't think he was contributing to a good conversation, and it definitely ruined my relationship with him. And I don't want it to affect my relationship with Khalil, because I think Khalil is an honest person with whom I have disagreement with, and that I can actually have a conversation with. And part of that is, I trust Khalil partially because I know his name. I've heard him talk to his wife. I've seen him cry over things which I personally, look, when he started crying about the woman that he and his wife are helping, look, I started crying. I did. And that is a relationship that I want to keep. And that's the type of thing that I want to support. And I love seeing in the Muslim, I love seeing, I didn't like the fact that you banned Dr. Andani. I didn't see a reason for you to ban him from your channel. But that's your choice.
And didn't I tell you that the reason why you may not see that is because there is a long past that you don't know about.
Quite possible, yes.
Okay.
And that's fine. And look, if I am still welcome on your channel, I am going to support you because I do support you. And I want you to be a prominent part of this corner of the internet, even with all of our talk about spirits, which you might not be very interested in.
Not at this point. I'm not saying that I won't ever be interested in
Yeah.
it, but
Yeah.
as of right now, my reasons for coming on here was because my right hand man is being slandered by you,
Okay,
and I am in full support of him, and this isn't him telling me to do this. In fact, he was against me coming up here. He was like, bro, just leave it alone. I said, no, screw that. I'm going to go up there and address this. So
Look,
my handler is not doing a very good job right now.
I have to say, part of the reason I support you, I don't think you can be handled. I don't think you can be
I know
handled.
I can't.
And frankly, I hope, look, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe in a year I will have to apologize to you. But I will tell you, my suspicion is that in a maybe not a year, but certainly within 24 months of today, you are not going to be friends with Friendly Muslim. That is because that is my prediction. That is my view of reality. That in 24 months, actually, hopefully, the two of us will be friends. I don't think you're going to be friends with Friendly Muslim. And I have to say that's because, I am a little bit older than you. I have had enough, I would like to say, experience with how these things are working that I seriously think you are actually important enough, which you disagree with me, to pay somebody to spend many, many hours trying to affect you, because you are actually a very, very good speaker, and you are plenty smart enough, and influencing you is definitely worth the money.
I just
I'm
still don't
not
see
trying to
how.
blow smoke up your behind.
I understand, but my main problem is that people can have speculations out the wazoo all they want, right? But when we are on public platforms speaking live about somebody else, that other people can hear what you say and take these sheer speculations and take it way more serious than what you're even proposing, that can be a problem. So that's why I say maybe we should be a little bit more agnostic or refrain from doing this. I am openly saying things about Andani, not because they're not speculations though. I have audio recordings of everything that I say that he believes in and he says. I have proof to back it up.
Okay, Khalil, I have to say, I think it's funny to me that now you're arguing the other way as far as being careful in your speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I personally would not say Dr. Andani is a kafir but that's not for me. I'm not a Muslim, right? When I make and Dr. Andani just showed up, and if you want to speak to him, I can bring him up. But
I can, as long as he doesn't try and change the subject and be like, well, what do you know about this and what do you know about that? I'm simply just saying claims were made. I want to see the evidence.
Okay. Oh wow, I have class in a little while I have to go to. You know what? F it. I'll miss my class.
No, Jacob, you don't need to.
This is important. I have a class in 20 minutes I'm supposed to be at, and I will miss my class because I think this is important.
I wouldn't.
What was I even saying? Look, I have my suspicions, and I admit I may be wrong, and I 100% admit I don't have proof.
And that's the thing is, my whole thing with having this channel, the whole reason I have this channel is I see people who are in fact being I see people who are in fact being conversations are being affected in ways that I have my suspicions about and I think is necessary. And the whole time, if you remember when I first came, do you remember when I first came on your channel? I was like, make people turn their videos on. That was like my whole thing. Make people turn their videos on. Actually, like try to talk to actual people, because I think the only way, and this is my little mission, and it's not like I don't evangelize Judaism. That's against my religion. What I do evangelize is for people to actually, like, intelligent people to have intelligent conversations with each other. And I want you part of that. And I want Dr. and Danny to be part of that. And maybe I will find out in the future, and I will bring you up, Dr. and Danny. Maybe I will find out in the future that you are absolutely right. And Friendly Muslim is a great guy, and I completely misjudged him. And maybe I will find out that Dr. and Danny, despite everything I know about him in real life, and I do know far more about him in real life than I know he has a kid. I know he went to Harvard. I've listened to him actually speak about his own life. And so I don't think he could possibly ghost me, like I think, in fact, Friendly Muslim will eventually ghost you.
Yeah, but why are you even saying things like that when it's all just speculation? Just like have your suspicions, but when you say things like that on a platform, like that makes other people have speculations on him, right?
Yeah.
And these speculations could just be false, and this is just defamation. This is just slander.
Well, if it's defamation, let him. He is welcome to. He is welcome to actually sue me.
Jacob.
My name is right there. My address. He can sue me, and I invite him. He can do that.
That's not what Khalil's point is. He's
I
saying what.
understand that, but Adam, there's a reason why I make these accusations. And the reason I ended up on your channel was I made these exact accusations against Claire Call.
You know, maybe I can give an analogy.
We have pictures of Claire Call with a gun in her hand with a swastika poster behind her.
She came on my channel. She came on my channel. She came on my channel and turned her video on. She's still posting on my Discord server. I still think she is an agent of somebody. I don't know who.
That's fine.
And I don't have proof. I don't have proof. I have suspicions.
Then I would even say with Claire Call to refrain from making those claims about people.
No, see, this is what I'm doing here. This is I want to have serious conversations with real people. And I'm seeing those conversations being sabotaged by people. And I would say that Friendly Muslim on my stream was sabotaging the conversation. That's why I took him off. This is what I'm doing.
If he's sabotaging the conversation, it doesn't entail that he's a handler or this kind of mysterious, mystical handler. Yeah, in essence, really was what.
Maybe he's not, but my question becomes: why would he sabotage the conversation?
Well, I mean, but sabotaging the conversation seems very subjective to me. I think he was on the same exact point that I was on and that Jake was on. We were all on the same page.
You know what? I would say maybe, and it is subjective. I'm not sure I'll be able to convince you, or you would be able to convince me. But my view of at the time, and I haven't rewatched it. Honestly, it was difficult for me to rewatch it because when he starts speaking, I get this feeling like, why is this guy dishonestly like taking the conversation in ways that I said, obviously Jake isn't getting a thing and you're not getting. I said that many times, and he kept on bringing it back to that as if that's what I am saying, and that's
No,
obvious.
the reason why he kept bringing it back, like I said, is because these are the claims that Andani has made, and that you kept
And I
trying to drive it
disavowed
down this
them
other
many,
path to
many
this
times.
this other mystical thing that's going on. And I mean, you've done it in this conversation at least 5 times to where we try and go back to your main point that like I said, with all due respect, right now nobody is interested in that right now. We are interested in tying Andani down and showing show me the money.
And I have said over and over and over again, and I don't know how many more times I can say it, that I am not agreeing with what he's claiming.
Too easy. So he's here. Let's bring him up. Let's see the money. Let's see the money.
Dr. Andani, welcome. He's been waiting a while, so I don't know.
He's got kids. He's probably dealing with his kids. I get it.
Yeah.
But I want to see the money, and I don't want to see a diversion. I don't want to see it. Well, what Ismaili books have you read? I've read enough to understand the basics of his belief.
That's not okay.
Yeah. So I want to stay off the topic, and I want to pinpoint it straight to this thing that we're talking about.
I know there are topics that Dr. Andani would like to get into, but I realize you want to clarify this particular thing, and I just want to be 100% clear. I don't think anybody is writing you a check. I don't think anybody is somehow
directly handling
you.
Yeah, I understand that.
In the way that.
So then you're off the hot seat, and Donnie is making this claim, and he's still on the hot seat. Show me the money. And then once we get past that, be like, okay. And Donnie either has proof or he's just making speculations, and I'll just shrug him off. And then I'd be more than happy for you to send me some sources so I can look at these influential raiders. You know, like I'm more than happy to do that. But right now, I don't want to focus on that because there's direct things going on being said about my channel, being said about my brother's channel, being said about one of my best friends. Like, these are what I want to deal with now.
Okay. Well, Dr. Andani, yeah, I mean, yeah, don't know. I can't speak for him. So one thing, Ashera said, Jacob, people could make the same argument about you because of your being influenced by Peter Thiel's ideas. You admit yourself you like him. Even then, that's not proof that you're a Thiel puppet. I would never, ever, ever, ever say that Khalil is anybody's puppet. And I have
good luck.
I have in fact been influenced by Peter Thiel. He is somebody I consider myself kind of on his team, and I have been influenced. And there are spirits that are working on me, that work on all human beings, and so I am in no way denying that these spirits, in fact, influence me. And I think these spirits are real. This is part of my whole thing. Why is my channel like, why am I talking about post-nominalist Neoplatonism? Because I think nominalism is obviously wrong, and I am a post-nominalist Neoplatonist. And hopefully one of these days I will convince Khalil to be a post-nominalist Neoplatonist as well. Dr. Andani.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. I was hoping he's on. I mean, if he's not on in a little while, honestly, I don't want to miss my class. But
I don't think you should miss your class. This is literally not important enough to miss your class over.
Yeah.
I mean, I just came on here to address something, and that's basically
well, it. I just want to salvage my relationship with you.
Well, salvaging your relationship with me would entail, because if you want to come on my channel and speak on my channel, I'm gonna have my boy with me.
He can be on your channel. That's you. I'm not gonna be friends with him.
Well, I mean, I don't think you know enough about him to even be able to. I mean, you can be friends with whoever you want to and not be friends with whoever you want to. But
I
to
don't know
make the
enough about
judgments that you're making about him, you don't know him from a can of paint.
This is true, and this is part
Okay,
of my.
sorry, I'm here now. I'm just busy with domestic duties.
Yes,
So
Dr. Andy.
what? Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
so
what are we here to do?
this is the issue, and please let's stick only to this particular issue.
I need another.
Do you believe and do you have proof that either Khalil or Jake are being directly influenced by people who could be characterized as
Yes,
Templars?
yes. Khalilullah was converted to Islam by Jake and the members of the Thought Adventure podcast. Number one, that's a fact. Jake and the members of the Thought Adventure podcast publicly espouse Salafi theological positions. Yes, I've literally debated Abdul Rahman over Twitter on this. They take they take Salafi positions. By the way, if I drop off, you know why. Okay?
Yes.
Number two, Jake himself on Clubhouse hung out before he deleted his account and came back. He hung out with Salafis. People like Saifullah, people like Uzair, people like Abu Muawiyah. There's a whole bunch of these people. People like General, people like Shabazz. I mean, I have the names. There's even a screenshot where Jake is in a room under a club and clubhouse titled Genocide of the Zandaka. And the Zandaka is what they call Shia Muslims. Okay? Jake
I
was
mean, heretic.
hosted. Jake was hosted in December 10th, 2021. He did several rooms hosted by a person named Elena Ali, who's also a Salafi, and explicitly on Twitter endorsed the killing of Ismailis. So I saw Jake because I was, let's say, good acquaintances with him throughout 2020 and for most of 2021. And I saw directly him hanging out with Salafis on Clubhouse, eventually adopting Salafi positions when a year ago he was totally against them,
Okay,
and
but
then
Dr. Danny,
polemicizing.
hold on. Dr. and Danny, I have to say, okay, let's distinguish between being influenced by, and I don't know if Jake is influenced. I don't know anything about most of this stuff, but what you have presented to me as far as scientismic epistemology, I would say,
I don't know what that means.
scientism is the idea that the only way to know something is if you can prove that it is 100% true.
I mean, I'm showing you. I said there's a Salafi influence on these people, and I'm
so an influence. Yeah. Well, I 100% agree with you that there is an influence.
So then obviously, if one of these people takes a view that contradicts what Salafis believe, do you not believe that indirectly or directly there's pressure not to take those views?
There's a big difference between indirectly and directly.
Yeah, and but this is what I meant the whole time.
Differentiation we're making.
Listen, bro, Jacob, I'm not the one who said the Saudi government writes checks to people. That's what you did. I never suggested that at all.
Okay.
I'm very clear. I believe that Mr. Jake is influenced by Salafis, and I don't only believe it, I saw it. And because our friend Khalilullah owes his Shahada, the fact that he accepted Islam, to Jake and Jake's colleagues on Thought Adventure podcast who take Salafi positions, he is influenced by their Salafi thinking.
That's incorrect.
My
Shahada is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I didn't say it was for you. Completely misinterpreted what I said. But anyway,
no, I didn't. I just corrected what you said.
Now, Mr. EA Dawa, frankly, Mr. EA Dawa is a loose cannon of a person. So it's okay.
Okay, that's not gonna work. It's my show. Sorry if you have to go, but when it comes down to it, there is a world of difference in my view between whether it's a direct influence and it's a indirect influence. I don't believe there is a direct influence where even Salafis, I don't know. I do certainly believe that there is an indirect influence in terms of people exercising what's called soft power. And that's definitely what's going on. And so I don't know how I could be more clear about this.
I'd like to completely, because and Danny just gave me all that I need, right? So let's do the math here. I've been a Muslim for a little bit over a year and a half, right? That takes us back a year and a half. I debated as an atheist, the Thought Adventure Podcast Brothers, for a year and a half. That takes us back, what? Is that 3 years? 3 years right there?
Okay.
He said Jake started taking the Salafi positions 1 year ago. How was I influenced by Salafi handlers before these supposed Salafi handlers were Salafi? Even if they were, I'm not even saying that they're Salafi. According to his claim through an internal critique, how could these people that aren't Salafi being Salafi handlers? It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I will be as clear as I can be. And then maybe I will, well, unless Jake wants to come up, because if Jake wants to come up, but maybe I will not, I'll miss my class, which is in a minute. I cannot be more clear than to say what Dr. and Danny was saying did not show in any way to me a direct influence.
No, Jake could have hung out with somebody who's a Salafi on a Clubhouse app, and that person may or may not have said some horrible things. That doesn't mean that Jake's involved in it.
I agree with you.
So what I think I'm not getting on you. I'm just frustrated that was the proof that this PhD came up to the stage attempting to give as proof.
Okay, he is a PhD. That's.
I'm not saying he's not a PhD. I'm just saying he doesn't conduct himself in that way.
Okay, look, honestly, Dr. Indani, this is a stream and he has kids and he's talking. So I'm not going to make huge, determinations about that. When it comes down to it, what he was arguing is not something I think he made a convincing case for at all. I don't agree with it. He was showing that there are connections that he's making between Jake and a bunch of people I don't know. And I don't know these people, and I don't see any reason why it's a problem for Jake to even have actual connections with these people. I mean, I might not want to be friends with Jake after I find out if these people are his friends, but that's not the argument that we were having here as far as a direct influence of like somebody, handing checks to Jake. Obviously, I don't think that's anything that's going on. I hope all that's.
I mean that's good and all. And Danny's asking you a question.
Dr. and Danny, I did remove you to the back room because I was trying to speak and you were not letting me speak. And it is my channel. And I needed to speak. You were not speaking to the actual point, which is whether there is a direct influence on Jake. I don't think there is anybody writing him checks or directly handling him, and I think any attempt to do something like that would backfire dramatically. Now, I only moved you to the back while I was going to speak. I did not remove you from the stream. I don't know. You right. Okay. I think it might be best.
Go to your class, Jacob. Go to your class. Yeah. That's important.
Okay. Bye, people.